What is something that a partner can say or do that is an absolute deal breaker that isn't cheating? Before we start with the first story, please hit subscribe and ring the notification bell to stay updated with us. Story 1. I had a partner who got so angry on a night out when we walked past a group of girls who would have been 18 to 20. I was 25. He was 28 FR because of how they were dressed that he punched a wall in the street we were walking down. I was like, what the f, what's wrong? He said, and I quote, "That makes me so angry seeing women dressed like that because you know they are asking for it. They just are. They want my attention and men's attention, but as soon as they get too much, they cry about it. Stupid little XXX. I had been with him for 3 months, never heard him talk like this before. I just kept walking up the street and burst into tears. I never saw him again after that night. I literally recoil thinking about him touching me now." Story 2. When I noticed them attempting to belittle or humble me in any capacity. Past boyfriends have done this, and they usually use a compliment sandwich method. Example, "Your makeup looks good today, babe. I never noticed how short your eyelashes are though." Nope, I'm out of there. Another one is disrespecting my boundaries. One boy I had been dating for a while called me a bitch in a joking manner. I told him to never call me that again. Joke or not, he did it again, and I broke up with him, LOL. These things seem minor, but deprecating jokes where I'm the punchline are actions I don't tolerate. Story 3. This is a lot more tame than the rest of these comments, but like excessive gamer rage and not knowing when to stop is a deal breaker. I can understand being in the game completely and just getting frustrated with the game a little bit. Like even I occasionally slam my hand on my desk. That's just what adrenaline does. But screaming, throwing shit, etc., that's not okay. And it just shows that you're not emotionally mature enough to be an adult. I can handle it maybe once or twice, but that's it. I hate when people are like that, and when they don't know when to stop. That's another thing that pisses me off. Story 4. This will be buried, but my ex-GF, when we first began dating, got invited by a friend who was married to Italy. The friend wasn't a close friend and it was a work trip, and my GF just needed to pay for a plane ticket. I said how exciting for her. The truth began to trickle out. My GF and her married friend were invited to stay at one of the Italian co-workers' villas in Italy with him and his friends. Then it comes out that the friend is not happily married and hooked up with the Italian Keo worker on a previous trip. I told my GF that it was her choice, but I didn't like the idea. I didn't like the idea of her going with this friend on a trip to cheat on her husband and also stay with guys she didn't know. Story 5. No intimacy. I'm not just talking about sex. I mean the little things, like walking in the door and greeting the person instead of just unloading their entire day, waiting till you get out of the car before walking into somewhere, walking 500 feet ahead of you and not checking to see if you are behind them and waiting for you to catch up, picking up something sentimental or even something you like, as in say a candy bar or slushie from the petrol station, hugs when you least expect it, not downplaying emotions, assuming you can do whatever alone or leaving you to just figure things out. All that plus no sex in my last relationship. It's a killer. Story 6. My wife tells me that if I ever smoke weed again, we are done. But she also says the only reason for divorce would be infidelity. If she prompts any other ultimatums, then I'm just out. I gave up something that made my life easier and made dealing with people easier. If I have to give up on my cat or video games, then I'm out. I'm okay with not having weed anymore. It was something I started when my grandfather passed, and I understand it probably just isn't good for me. My sister gave me the cat, so there is no contest there. Video games help me to unwind and distress. I would really rather not get rid of them. Story 7. Abuse, maybe an obvious one, but still. Throwing shit at me, belittling me, screaming or any tantrums like a toddler is a definite, absolute, pack your shit and leave or I'm leaving thing. Overly jealous and controlling behavior without any merit whatsoever, and then accusing me of cheating without proof is another. Being a dick to servers and other people in general is definitely one. Although I wouldn't even begin to date someone like that in the first place, to be fair. Flirting and trying to make me jealous on purpose constantly, and telling me so, only to get mad about it is another. Never been through any of these, fortunately. Story 8. Date me for an entire year, then I find out she is still married. The ex-GF hit me and a failure to take responsibility for their own actions. The ex-wife expect me to fit the entire bill for their lifestyle. These crazy-ass women out here in the world today. In a hypothetical situation, expect me to be cool with a woman that omitted she was a stripper in the past and me not finding out until after we're married. Women in a Facebook dating group I no longer participate in. Bonus points. These same women would not marry a dude if he didn't tell them he was bisexual until a week before the wedding. Omitting vital info such as stripping is cool. Omitting your bisexuality is the death sentence to these women. The hypocrisy. Story 9. Physical abuse. Of me or anyone else. Mental, emotional abuse, for example, gaslighting, trying to separate me from existing friends and family, lying and manipulation, playing shitty games and getting someone they know to test you to see if you'll cheat, being grossly financially irresponsible, smoking or doing hard drugs, meth, opiates, etc., being entitled or shitty with staff service people, owning racist Nazi paraphernalia for reasons other than e.g., they're a professional historian, or my grandpa brought this back from Germany after World War II. And yes, he fought for the Allies. Full disclosure, I've been married for 18 years and couldn't be happier, but this isn't my first marriage. I learned some lessons the hard way. Story 10. Ask for a break without providing genuine reasons for it. 9 out of 10 times they either want to cheat without technically cheating, or they want to break up, but not be the one that actually breaks it off. My ex did this. She asked for a break. I was a little scared, but as the logical man I am, I started asking questions like why? How long? What will she be doing? What can I do? At first she said she wanted to clear her feelings, and then she said that she doesn't know for how long or what she will be doing. Then it evolved into there being another guy. And then the last drop was her asking me no matter what relationship I get into or she gets into while we are on break, I should always let her come back. Now at that point, we were texting about this for 4 hours. I was feeling shitty and I decided to end it. Obviously, I became the for breaking up with her over text. If in the future a partner suggests a break, I will break it off immediately. No half measures. Story 11. Trying to force their opinions down my throat. Doesn't have to be political. Even on mundane things, some people always need to be right and see independent thought as threatening for some reason. My ex would react badly to anybody giving any different opinion of any kind. Food, political, fashion, news, anything. I made some passing comment I never would have ever thought would be offensive to anyone. She turned and started screaming at me about how I'm wrong and tried telling me what my opinion should be, all on a subject that literally had nothing at all to do with her. I've met others like her too, and they are exhausting. To me, people who do this have no respect for their partner, and respect is a big deal breaker. Story 12. I want kids. I'm not going to have children, and I made it clear before I start dating a guy. Another is, as someone else commented, throwing tantrums like a child, or acting childish, e.g. unwilling or unable to communicate like an adult. Having an out-of-control temper, and I'm talking frequent outbursts of anger and aggression. It makes me nervous and anxious and scared, even if it's not because of me or aimed at me. I won't have that in my life again. Manipulation or coercion, especially for sex or sexual acts. I won't tolerate that again either. Misogynistic views or views that women are lesser, that they're nothing more than incubators and maids and servants that belong in the kitchen, etc. get f***ed. You want someone to do everything for you short of wiping your unwashed arse. Go back to mummy. I'm your equal, and we share household tasks. Perhaps not exactly 50-50s. Some weeks it might be 55-45s or 60-40s. Or he might cook 5 nights out of 7 and I'll do the dishes every single day. But I won't be anybody's servant or viewed as such ever again. Had enough of that treatment from my mother. I will not be anybody's parent. Thankfully, my boyfriend has none of these caveats or drawbacks, but it took me a few horrible relationships to finally find my diamond. I'm incredibly lucky to have him as my life partner. Story 13. Smoking. I don't mind if you do weed here and there or like to have a cigar on a special occasion, but if you're just a regular cigarette smoker who has to smoke like a pack a day, I just can't handle that. Aside from all the health complications and the fact that I don't want to get romantically invested in someone that will likely die significantly younger than me. It's just absolutely rancid smelling and frankly really embarrassing. I remember having such an embarrassing time going on a trip with an old group of friends that me and my ex were both part of, and I had to keep awkwardly explaining to people that I have no clue where the f*** he is, because he just wandered off somewhere because he just had to smoke. There were several different points where everyone in the group was basically ready to move on to the next activity. But we had to wait because my ex had f***ing disappeared to go smoke somewhere. And obviously we couldn't just abandon him in the middle of an unfamiliar city. And even though I know nobody really blamed me for it, I still got such a huge second-hand embarrassment from it that I found myself constantly apologizing on his behalf. Story 14. I had this conversation with my partner the other day. Basically, it was defined by two things: either becoming a drug addict or one of us start partying every weekend, Friday, Saturday, and passing the hangover on Sundays. We are really into video games, we play together, and we are super chill and enjoy watching Netflix, playing Fortnite together, eating yummy foods, and making love. So to us, those were the things that would be a deal breaker to our relationship. Story 15. Not taking accountability and not trying to improve behaviors that have been called out. Not a romantic relationship, but I just had to sever ties with someone I considered my platonic soulmate, my sibling, and my ride or die. They were a manipulative self-proclaimed people pleaser. They would do something for you unprompted, then they would demand something ridiculous and bring up everything they did for you and constantly throw tantrums over not getting their way immediately. I've posted about them before, but they aren't allowed pets in their flat. Got a kitten, couldn't handle it, and threw a tantrum when the staff there told them to rehome her. Rinse and repeat several times, with the poor kittens coming to me in worse and worse conditions. Their cousin adopted the first two, and they are thriving right now. The last two, unfortunately, had to be put on welfare grounds. Broken bones, infections, and FIP. But apparently it was my fault they had to be PTEs. They got a cane corso whilst living in a one-bedroom flat without telling anyone. Poor baby wasn't let out at all. Not to go to the toilet, not for walks, nothing. He was rehomed, thankfully, but again, several tantrums and threats over the situation. But it was never their fault. They struggled to leave the house. How dare people try to be realistic? My breaking point is them using people for money. They would constantly buy drugs and alcohol, then go crying to anyone who listened about not being able to afford food. But when people send them food or money, traded or used for more substances, or funding lavish trips to London and going to concerts, promising to pay people back and not doing so. After I cut them off, I began talking to a mutual friend who is also their ex. Turns out she's a minor while my ex is not. They told me she was 19. She was 16 when they met. Not technically illegal, but she told me of several concerning comments and videos she was sent by them. They also did the same manipulating shtick with her. Their ex literally told them to stop talking about sexual things, and they kept commenting on her body and what they would do. And when they were confronted by us, crocodile tears and saying they're disabled, they aren't, and threatening us and themselves, the usual unfortunately. They also cheated, but that doesn't count in this context. Sorry for the long rant, but I've only spoken to one person about this, and I want to warn people about this sort of situation. Alright folks, that's a wrap. If you like more of this, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. You can also share your thoughts in the comment below. I'll see you in the next video.